My name is Jamie, and this is the vlog for February 20th, 2022. I am wearing my kids' stylish noise canceling headphones that just came in today and is proof that we are one step closer to our spring break trip, which I'm very excited about. Still a little anxious about it, I think, but mostly excited at this point because we have a plan for how we're going to conduct ourselves, when we're going to wear masks. Um, we have the masks in our hot little hands now, and we have these puppies, a spare pair of noise canceling headphones for the kiddo. Um, I'm not sure if I talked about our Disneyland trip in December on here, but we went to Disneyland in December, visited my family as well. And that's when the kids' anxiety spiked through the roof. I've got a blog post about it. Go read on jsjourneybook.com, and you'll find the blog post up there, I believe. But it was a great reminder that my experience parenting is very different from the usual, apparently. She's my only kid, and we know that our experience is different, but it's amazing how it comes out. Like needing noise canceling headphones to go to one of the most child friendly places on the planet. Uh, but that aside, yesterday we went to a birthday party of a friend of hers, and it was like one of those sit and paint pottery places. So we painted, and I was talking to the three other moms there, and it was very clear that my experience parenting one kid, all of them have multiples, and B, being into the adoption foster care world to the depth that I'm in. And that's not to say that I am swimming in the deep water by any stretch, but I understand it, probably on a different level than most folks do. So that was that. And then we got invited to a play date today. And I said, hey, text me the time and we'll see what we can do. Guess who never got a text? So either the play date didn't happen or we just weren't invited. And honestly, that's okay. The kiddo just kind of wanted to hang out at the house today all day. She's still in her PJs and it's like dinner time practically. Um, and just wanted to kind of play. And I had some serious housework to catch up on. And we got to bond because it's family day and all that good stuff. So I'm not feeling left out. Everything was fine. I wasn't checking my phone every 5 minutes or anything like that. Um, but it's interesting to see other parents do things that I wouldn't do. And not just from a parenting perspective. Like I am on a bunch of Pacific Northwest with kids hiking and backpacking groups on Facebook. They give me great insight into different trails that I can go to take the kid on, or where to go backpacking, or where to go camping occasionally, all that jazz, which is fun because I need, some inspiration to branch out. And oftentimes I either won't have time to look it up, or I'd rather have other parents give me their input and their perspective on an area rather than just kind of wish me luck, and show up somewhere where there's sheer cliffs and it's definitely not a good idea for kids to hike, that kind of thing. But lots of questions come up on there like, hey, I want to take my 2-week old on a hike. Where can we go hiking and camping? And everyone responds with their own thing. Mine tends to err on the side of caution. Like I personally wouldn't go anywhere with a child under 2 where I don't have cell service. But that comes from my experience of, I think she was 16. Well, no, less. She was about a year, maybe less. Wasn't walking or talking yet, but could stand up, that kind of thing. And we went hiking, and it was fairly local hike, but it was out of cell service. We didn't know till we got there. So we started hiking. We went down to the body of water. We played around in there, and then we came back up, and she was crying in the backpack most of the time. And it was kind of hot, so I get it. When we got her to the car, she had her very first cyanotic spontaneous breath holding spell, and that is when a kid screams, and usually when kids scream and they scream to the point where they're silent, like the air is just gone, they gasp and take a big breath. This was our first indicator something wasn't right because she didn't gasp and take that big breath. She passed out and turned blue and limp. Um, and it was absolutely terrifying. I got her out of the car, I laid her on the ground. I'm thinking, when do I start CPR on my kid? And screaming at my husband to go find somewhere to call 911, find a house. Houses around there have to have a landline, I'm sure, because we couldn't get cell signal. By the time he was heading down the road, she came to and she was okay. She was just tired. So we got down the mountain, called her pediatrician, and it basically said keep an eye on her. And if it happens again, go to the ER, but bring her in next week. I think I know what it is. Cyanotic breath holding spells. Some kids grow out of them, some kids don't. She appears to have, which is good. But along with the central sleep apnea that she has, when your brain doesn't tell your lungs to take a big enough breath, uh, obviously there's some misfire that goes on. On our second camping trip, first ever really whole overnight camping trip, we were going with his family, and it was to Solduck Hot Springs. And there was, I think the nearest hospital was Port Angeles, and it was about an hour away from the campsite. She wasn't a big puker as a kid, but she was like 16, 18 months. She threw up once at home like 3 days before. Kids throw up sometimes. Seemed fine the next day. Seemed even fine the next day after, which was the day we were leaving for the trip. So we packed up and we went. And on our way up there, she threw up, which was like, okay, well, kids throw up. We're not really sure what this is. It doesn't seem like the flu. She seems fine, other than occasionally sour stomach. We get all the way up there. First night goes great. Second day, she can't stop throwing up. Like, she's not keeping water down, nothing. Um, and in high altitude, with a very young kid, things can change like that and become an emergency situation. I would hate to be out hiking, backpacking, really in the primitive parts of the woods, and have that situation go down, because you don't know. You don't know when it's going to go down. You just don't. Um, we ended up taking her to the ER that night for fluids and then just coming home early. We were glad we took her to the ER when we did, because they said, had you come any later, we would have had to fly you to Seattle, because we don't have um, needles for kids that small to hydrate them. Luckily, they were able to crush up some Zofran and throw some apple juice down her throat, and the Zofran helped her keep down whatever it was. And that was it. That was the end of the camping trip for us. So we learned very quickly that you need to go where there is help. And that is now a consideration whenever we travel, is okay, where's the nearest help? Should we need it? Um, but that's not normal. And I didn't realize that that's not normal. Um, or, I mean, I don't even think we're especially overprotective. Like, hell, we enrolled her in forest school where she'd be out in the woods playing for 4 hours a day, no matter the weather, you know. So we're not overprotective, I don't think, by any means, um, but my experience is so different. And tonight's a great example. If my husband's ever working late, or on duty or on deployment, I don't drink. I don't have a glass of wine. And I know for a lot of moms, that's like, oh, I gotta have my glass of wine to de-stress at the end of the night. But I don't want to be even the slightest bit impaired should something happen in the middle of the night and I need to get her somewhere. I want to stack the deck in my favor of being able to respond quickly, appropriately. Um, so yeah, but apparently that's not normal either. So I guess I don't know what normal is. I think normal is overrated. I think normal for us will always be different. And in some ways, it's kind of exciting, to walk kind of a different path. Uh, and it's been an amazing lesson that comparing your life, dear viewer, ye few, ye brave, my life, or anyone else's life is a waste. Um, I feel like sharing our stories is incredibly valuable because we can all learn from each other. But defining a normal and comparing that is kind of a waste of time and energy. Um, Yeah, so my situation apparently is not normal. And I think that's okay. So today was cloudy. We spent most of it inside doing lots of housework and stuff. And tomorrow's probably going to be even rainier, but that's okay because tomorrow's going to be better.